Welcome back to the Pro Series Podcast. This is episode 94, and today's guest is Armen from Arto Brick. If you remember back in the spring, I had an episode with a tile shop here in Pittsburgh, actually Shady Side, called Tile and Design Inc. Jenny and Samantha talked about Arto Brick, this brand that they love so much, and how they had a Kate Winslet tile. And we went over and saw a lot of their tiles in the episode, and I thought it would be great to have an episode talking with one of the owners and kind of learn about the history of the company. It's very interesting how it came from Egypt to here into the United States. Armen goes over the whole history, what they stand for as a company, how making the new tiles come into play, and we kind of touch on the Kate Winslet tile as well. But before we go into this episode, please like, subscribe, and review this podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. And now I hope you enjoy episode 94 with Armen from Arto Brick.
Oh, darn it. You weren't recording it.
No, no, it was not.
So all the curse words we said earlier don't have to be edited out.
Great way to
You have a
start.
really bad mouth, Eric. Eric, you have a filthy mouth. I can't believe you said all those things earlier.
Oh,
Right.
man. Armen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hop on the Pro Series Podcast. Excited to talk to you.
Same here. That's my cue to talk back. Pause. Hey, Eric. I am always amazed that people want to hear me bullshit.
Yeah, we talked about your company a couple months back. There's a company here in Pittsburgh I was telling you off camera called Tile and Designs Inc. that I did an in-person podcast on. They sell a lot of your product, and we were just talking
Yes.
about some of your new products, some stuff about your company. But I really want to get into your perspective on like how the company started and your role. So I'm going to give you the floor and just kind of tell me how Arto started.
Do you want to go back to the beginning of the beginning?
Hey, yeah, absolutely. If
Okay.
you're in for it.
All right. Well, first of all, Arto is not a play on words. It's actually my father's first name. It's Arto. It's some call it a nickname for a longer name. He's actually using that name, not as the longer potential name. It's a nickname, at least from my point of view, and what I've been told by fellow Armenians, that Arto is short for resurrection. So, Arto, that's my dad's first name. It's my middle name. It's also my partner's middle name. My partner is Armen Alajian, my brother, who's also goes by Vod, a short version of it. The full name is Varujan. Think Parmesan, Varujan. He goes by Vod. It's spelled V-O-D. It sounds like V-A-U-D. So that's my brother. And my father is a child of an orphan.
Okay.
My grandfather comes from Egypt, but his blood is Armenian. And from there, he was adopted by a family in Egypt. And at one time, and still today, Egypt is a very populous country with lots of people. And my grandfather got adopted into a great family, and he ended up being one of the partners in a shoe factory. And that shoe factory would bring in leather from Milan, Italy, and turn it into men's and women's shoes. And so, like most kids, they grew up in their, not most kids, I guess back then, in theory, you grew up in your father's footsteps. But my father grew up working in the shoe factory, ended up learning how to design shoes for ladies and for men and women, and ended up having a retail store with his name on it called Arto. And so my dad's background is, we'll call it industrial design, but definitely how to commercialize handcrafted. That's where he came from. And that place fell apart in the early 50s when the country became socialist with a new government. And my dad left there and went to Beirut, Lebanon, where he loved it. He was in post-World War II Mediterranean, basically the Paris of the Middle East. And to be PG-13 plus, he enjoyed being a young man in the Paris of on the Mediterranean. That place started to fall apart. He went to New York and didn't like it. Houston didn't like the weather. Landed in California, particularly Los Angeles in the 50s, when basically Los Angeles in the 50s would have been like a small town outside of Austin. That's too small, but a town, a city,
Mhm.
industry, aviation, all that, but not like it is now, where it's really dense,
Oh yeah.
lots of traffic. He was there when there was no freeways, for example. It was just roads and still farms. If you like Google 1950s LA, Los Angeles, you'll see like, whoa, there's still empty land. It's not all filled in. So my dad loved it. Great weather, great roads, a young city. And while he was in Beirut, he worked in aviation for his job.
Mm.
But when he came to the States with LA, he went to school at night to be a mechanic on airplanes.
Wow.
And he went, as his regular job was a milkman, delivering milk. How does all relate to Brick?
Yeah,
You may
seriously.
have to cut this out. My wife is walking here. She doesn't know I'm on a call, so you have to cut this part out, maybe, where I'm telling you she's knocking on the front door without knowing it. Um, he met and back then you didn't work on the weekends. You worked Monday through Friday. With the school Monday through Friday was that, there was a weekend. It wasn't like all work. So on the weekend, he found a woman, not my mother, called Irene Birkenbreiter, who was a ceramicist, and she built murals. If you're familiar with California, there's the mission system built by the Spanish. She helped restore a couple of the murals in the missions. And this woman on her would build a mural out of ceramics, and then around it put a clay brick veneer to make it like a real wall in Europe. And so my dad liked it. She liked her. He liked her, and they, I think, almost got married. But my dad, on his milk route, started showing this brick veneer to the moms on his milk route.
Mm.
And so eventually, on the milk route, he quit his schooling job, about aviation. He basically, he's focused on making brick in the evening and installing it on the weekends. Eventually, quitting his milk job and just only making brick, one SKU, two SKUs, a flat brick in a corner. And eventually, it's all he did was make brick and install it. And he did that for a very long time. He got into concrete tiles in the early 70s, and he only focused on concrete for about 25 years, or not even how many years, but for a long time. I
Hmm.
started in the business at birth. I remember being a kid cutting tile for him. The wet saws don't hurt you. I mean, you can pinch it, but you couldn't cut your finger off. So I remember cutting tile as a kid. And fast forward through my parents divorcing, fast forward to being fired 5 times and being hired 5 times with my father. We made peace when I was in my 20s. And from there, we grew into a company. He focused on keeping me from falling off the cliff and being my counsel. And I focused on making and selling.
That's
My
awesome.
brother, again, born into it, working at birth, and him and I have been running it since I was 18, a long time ago. Fully at 25 or 26 as I maybe GM or president, and then in 2008 9, I guess became the boss. My brother and I have run together since the early 2000s.
That's amazing. So I know you were born into it, but do you actually have a passion for interior design and like all the architectural elements that it comes with brick?
I believe part of my brokenness as a human being, my parents getting divorced. Also, my father being romantically with romance about your father's business. I'm one of those, maybe those Gen X guys that actually enjoyed the past. That part of my desire is building places that are hospitable.
Okay.
If I wasn't in tile, I would be in restauranting, which would be horrible. But a restaurant or a hotel or an event center, all those things where people come together, whether I'm developing the place. I mean, that's if I make a joke, I would be in hospitality of some sort if it wasn't for tile. So I believe this interior design is part of the owner's story. So I've been penciling this out. Let me say it better. I used to own the story and say, "Welcome to my story," but I've real, welcome to my Arto story. I'd say now is, Eric, you're building a space for a customer, and your job is to help the customer. Either it could be a hospital, it could be a restaurant, it could be a homeowner, it could be a sitting place. Your job is to build a space that the people in that space feel at home. Even if you go to jury duty, that space where you sit in the jury room should not make you feel anxious. So all the spaces that we build, whether they're outdoor or indoor spaces, should bring some sort of peace to you, or at least transfer what the owner of the space wants you to feel. I mean, that's the ideal what Eric is doing with with Dillman Designs, and I'm helping you and your customer build that space.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
That's why I like interior. That's why I like design. I
Yeah.
also like things. I like looking at the broken line. So my passion is not 1975 Italian perfect mirrors and lime. I like wabi sabi.
Uniqueness.
Um, I don't like straight corners. So that's my view on design. Some people like design wanted straight lines, but either way, if I was into straight lines or broken lines, my desire is to help Eric or the owner itself build a space that they like being into and creates the space they want for their family, for their customers, for their employees. Because these spaces we build are for people to use, not for just to look pretty. They also look like I live in it. I'm enjoying it. There,
Exactly.
that's my high horse. Why I like what I do.
No, I like that because I mean, as a designer, that's what you want to hear. When you're going to try to use someone's product, you don't want someone that's just making a product and doesn't want the impact that the product that it's making on the client and the designer. So hearing
Right.
that story is awesome coming from someone
Yeah.
like you.
My brother actually sometimes think a little bit too romantic. Like sometimes we think more important than the actual customer, the other stakeholder is the actual project. So sometimes telling the customer, no, you can't have it, not it won't work where you are, or saying to the owner or designers like, hey, use this product because it's better for the job.
Mhm.
So a stakeholder is in a stakeholder, I hate that word, it's so corporate, but the multiple customers you have, basically, right? The multiple people on the project, the designer,
Yeah.
the consumer, the end user, whatever it's a big job or small job, the people in the space. The other one is the actual space is requires a certain feel or look. Like, do you want it to look like it's gonna, when you do certain like I'm in hard surfaces, right?
Yeah.
Let's do something that's not even my product. Let's compare quartz countertops to natural stone countertops, and I'm going to assume that quartz doesn't age. So some places deserve a quartz countertop because the homeowner doesn't know that stone, the beauty of stone is that it shows where mom kneaded out the bread or where the wine spilled, or it kind of reflects the history of the kitchen. Sometimes it's a condo projects where it requires it to be, it's 25 condos for a builder, and they buy the quartz because it's the appropriate thing for the consumer. But if you're building a mansion and you're going to be dying there or having your kids own it, why not have the proper stone? Don't go with quartz because it's beautiful. Go with the stone and enjoy that it's uniquely. I mean, in theory, every stone slab is unique, like a
Hmm.
fingerprint.
Exactly.
So that some jobs require that, and some jobs don't. And you have to
Exactly.
know when to call out the help out the customer and the designer. Say, that's you great. I know you have a budget, but I'd rather you not use quartz because you'll bring you something different. It's a long story to tell you. The project itself is a stakeholder or an owner of the project itself. That
Oh
sounds
yeah.
that too much gibberish. That's too gibberish.
No, no, not at all. That's like
Okay.
when you look at your product, like in their showroom, I was looking at your product, and not one tile is exactly the same, which I love because
Amen.
it's all unique. It's almost like I like how you said natural stone versus quartz. I kind of always thought about like butcher block, those dents in the countertop. Some people get mad about that. Some people
Amen.
love that.
Formica or real. Yeah, which what is it?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
so when you go into development stage of creating a new tile, are you in that that part of that stage of creating new product?
There are many ways to a product. One way is, ooh, look at that accident on the factory floor. That's beautiful. Let's make more of that. That's one way. Like, cool. What happened there? Can we reproduce it?
That's pretty
That's one
cool.
way. So I do like serendipity or like accidents becoming a product. But that's one way. The other way is Eric has a customer who went to Europe. You've gone to 15 tile shops and stone shops, and you cannot find what they saw in Europe, and you make it, and you go, whoa, I'm going to make more of that and show the rest of the world too. That's one way. And third is chasing a trend. The first two are more romantic.
Yeah.
I don't chase many trends because I'm a little bit slow. Also, I'm also kind of how can I put it? Prideful. I
Hmm.
don't like chasing trends.
Yeah.
I like Ziggy with another Zag.
Agreed.
So
Just got to put them on
I like
style.
the first two. I would tell you of the first two, it's 60% the customer is doing is pushing us to do something.
Yeah.
40%, it's me. That's cool. I want to make that.
I mean, that's a
It's
perfect.
60% customer driven, 40% me being crazy or odd.
I mean, that's a good excuse. I mean, it shows in your product that it's all very unique and um, you saying almost some of them is by accident. It's kind of cool. I'm looking at your Winslet tile. Tell me a little bit about that story. You Tile and Design told me a little bit about the name of it and how it came about, but do you have any other background story on the Winslet and how it was named that and why it was named that?
Laziness. So it was a custom. We had already had the two colors. We
Hmm.
had a color called Gray Mist, the gray part, and the cream part was Hacienda. And we already
Okay.
had the shape. So all we did was when the store was called Mortalist Building Materials. They've now closed. They retired, and I forget the designer's name. We actually knew their name at some time. It's been a long time now. But the designer was building a home or designing a home for. This is what I received from the designer. So if it's not accurate, go find that name of this designer. Um, they were designing a home for Kate Winslet's. I don't know. I never met her, so like, I'm not going to call my first name. Kate Winslet's parents. So
Oh, okay.
it was for her parents. Always possibly her off, most likely her money and her eye, but it was for her parents. And that's how it came about. And we like Winslet. It came out good. We have one called Magnolia where the Magnolia people did it, made the powder. We had the same thing, the existing colors already and existing shape. She put it together into that.
Very cool. Like
So we
Chip
have
and
one called
Joe?
Magnolia as well. Huh?
Is it Chip and Joe Magnolia people?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. That's very
yeah.
cool.
And
Dang.
then we've had a color called Dirty Tamara because Tamara said she wanted the tile to be very dirty. So the names come across like that. I like eating. So we had a lot of colors named after food like Tuscan mustard, Normandy cream, creme fraiche. We had a color called Kodo chocolate for a while. So I like food. I like having the food name describe the color because you can visualize it. What the heck is pick a color name from one of the famous paint companies and tell me you can see the color in your head. Sometimes you don't see the color in your head.
Exactly. I was just going to mention
I
that.
don't know. Pick a color. I don't know. Like what color is that in my head? I have no clue
You never,
what
it makes no sense at all when they come out with some of these colors.
yeah. The colors are cool, but the names
Yeah.
don't draw you to it. I mean, what's wrong with calling everything royal blue?
Yeah.
I get it. Call it royal blue.
Yeah. I love that. That's so funny. Well, I know we're on a time crunch, but I want to end with where people could find you, where people could follow you on social media and reach out. I know your products, is it sold all throughout this country?
Yes, we sell throughout the U.S. I think we have a location in every state except South North Dakota.
Okay.
I think I'm calling you from South Dakota, even though there's no location. We don't have a store in South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I'm out here quite a bit. The kids love it out here. But the answer to your question is, in most states and in big cities, multiple locations. On Instagram, I am active with the aid of Lori. And if there's a question to me personally, she'll tag me and say, hey, Eric has a question about what's your favorite color, and I'll answer back myself. So I'm popular there, and I'm active there. And then on LinkedIn, you can reach out to me too. I'm pretty active there. But if you want to see what we do, it's artobrick.com or arto.com or anything with Arto in it. We own the domain name Bardo and Arto Brick, and reach out to us from there. Not a lot of words. That legible?
No, that's perfect. I'll slow it down if it's too fast.
Okay. Edit that in. Keep that in. I talk quickly and mumble, so when you have the closed caption later on, it may have no clue what it correlates to what I was saying.
Well, Armen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on the Pro Series podcast and talking about the
Hey, Eric, can I have a question for you?
Yeah.
So, Eric, what is your passion for doing these podcasts? From what I know, you're not going to call me up later and ask me for money. What I know is that you seem to enjoy what you're doing, but why do you do these video casts and podcasts for? What is your passion for this?
Mostly just finding new people, networking with people that are, for the most part, I probably wouldn't meet someone like you in real life because I'm here in Pittsburgh. I mean, maybe if we went to a K-Biz or Coverings or something like that, we can meet. But for the most part, I'm not meeting all the people that are on my podcast. I'm meeting designers from all around the world, from, Australia to England. And it's just more of a hobby. It's fulfilling in my creative mind just to be able to talk to people that are also like-minded like me. And I just love the whole digital marketing, social media world. And this is just another level of it.
So what I heard you say, I'll boil it down. You like fresh inputs to make your mind grow because you don't travel outside of Pittsburgh often.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the second part is you enjoy the medium and the fun of connecting with people, but it's for your personal brain growing as well as you enjoy networking and people.
Yeah.
But you actually are learning through this process.
Oh, absolutely. All these questions are mostly mine. Sometimes viewers send in some questions, but I mean, if people want to learn and learn with me along the way, that's even better.
Amen. Okay. Well, Eric, if you're in Los Angeles or at KBiz or any of those bigger events, hit me up and maybe I'll ignore you.
Absolutely.
I'm very funny, Eric. Apologies.
You're fine. I'm actually on the board of
really, if you're in one of those events and I'm there, shake your hand at least.
Okay, absolutely. I'm on the board of the NKBA, so I have to go to KBiz next year as well. So I'll definitely.
Is that in Florida or Vegas?
It will be in Vegas.
Oh, okay. All right. Then maybe I'll see you.
Yeah.
I didn't go this year. I may go just to do a quick 24-hour marathon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was fun.
All right.
Talking to you.
Thank you for thinking I was worthy of expanding your mind.
No problem. Thank you for